You'll be my forever friend. This love will never end. No, no, nothing can come between us. No, never with you. The first question that I pose to everyone tonight, which is if you could have two options on how you can live this life and navigate through life, and God gave you the option of succeeding, passing, whatever that looks like for you, but learning nothing, would you choose that? Or would you choose option number two, failing but learning something? So that is a question that I popped out tonight. I also said that if you're in the dating space, and I mean, even if you're not in the dating space, you just want interesting conversation with your, significant other, I think that's a good question to ask. Because, yeah, we need some conversations too, right? It doesn't all end when you're finished dating. And definitely if you're married and you've been married for a long time, having moments to have interesting conversations that can afford for you to learn more about each other. Definitely want to cultivate opportunities where you can do that as much as possible. So let me know, Belle. And the second part of the question that I presented tonight, Belle, I'll put it out to you before I comment on it, is do you think that in our current day modern society, relationship is more of a labor of love? Meaning like labor of love is you doing something that you just find enjoyable, pleasurable, delightful. There is no end, right, in sight or on your mind. You're not focused on the reward that you should get from doing it. The reward is just the pleasure of doing it, right? Or do you think our modern day relationships is more a process of exchange and reward, right? Exchange and reward, meaning like I give you this, I expect this in return, et cetera, et cetera. And what do you think? If you think, do you think that if it was a labor of love, do you think we would benefit more from it? And if it is exchange and reward, is it to our own demise where it's causing relationships to fail? So yeah. All right. I've got an answer and I'm happy. It is from Beautiful Belle. I feel like I would definitely choose to fail but still learn. It would help me in the long run. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think it reminds me of, and I don't know if you've ever heard this statement or this question, rather, where they say, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail at it? I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's a question that has been, thrown out there, especially if you listen to a motivational speaker or maybe you have gone through some kind of coaching. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail at it? And of course, there's many things I'm sure any of us can think of. But I always say, I think when you put the absolute on it that you can do something without failing, and that means that you don't really, it doesn't require your faith anymore in this. And I'm really certain in my heart and my mind, and I know only God knows all of the things that and how he's created and structured this life that we're living. But the reward that I get, and the reward that I have been afforded to have, and what I mean by reward, I mean the experience of exercising my faith and not knowing how something is going to pan out has made this journey more beautiful to me than if I just knew. If I just knew, I don't know, like I think in the beginning, I would say, great, yeah, I can just go out and do this. And I know I'm not going to fail. It doesn't require any faith from me at all. I can just go and do it. and I know that at the end of the day, I'm always going to hit the target. I think the creme de la creme, and as my husband likes to always say, that our main currency in this life is our faith. And so I think it'll take a lot of the meaningfulness out of this life when we just feel like we know how everything is going to pan out. And I also think it would take the beauty out of how relationships really do unfold, whether it's your relationship with God, the creator, and him wanting you to, desire to know more about him, so therefore you can learn more about yourself, or if it's you putting that outward towards, the person that God has gifted you, their presence in your life. If I just knew everything about my husband, man, it wouldn't be as intimate. It wouldn't be as enjoyable. I would miss out on all of the growth that occurs in those vulnerable moments when you have to be vulnerable. You don't know how someone's going to respond. I don't know. I think it would take all of that beauty away. So I think at first it sounds like it's okay, or that'll be great. But then I think really quickly it'll be like, no, it takes the whole essence, right, of why we're here, kind of off the table in a way. And Bell has says the way life is now with dating, it is exchange and reward, but both wouldn't kill us. Yeah, I know, right? I think ideally that's what the ideal situation is, right? The ideal situation is that it's a labor of love, meaning that you do delight in the whole process that's going on between you and this other individual, and that you delight in their presence, and it's a beautiful type of organic thing. And then of course that hopefully naturally would automatically, because you are delighting in knowing this person and pouring into their life and them into you, that it would automatically kind of create this cycle of exchange and reward that's going on. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, Belle. The ideal situation would be, yeah, let's have both, where it is a labor of love and it also is exchange and reward. Hey, Soul Seeker, how are you, beautiful? So we are talking about current day, modern dating relationships. Do you believe that the process of how it is nowadays in dating and relationships is it a labor of love, meaning something that you do that provides you pleasure all by itself? You are not looking at the end. um, and you're just delighting in it. Or do you think it's more exchange and reward? Exchange and reward right now. And do you think that we would get more, it would be more beneficial experiences, more authentic experiences, meaningful experiences if it was just labor of love? Or do you think it's to our demise that is exchange and reward? And probably one of the reasons why we are seeing so many people not be able to go the long haul, right? And where you see less and less relationships that last a lifetime, and then less and less people who actually even want to sign up, right, from the beginning to, to commit in relationships. So let me know. And I also ask anyone, feel free, anyone who is open enough to let us know what you think that you're doing currently right now that is a labor of love for you, right? It means that you're doing something, it's enjoyable. It's not, I guess, giving you this grand reward back, but the reward in it is you doing it itself, right? You doing whatever it is that you have put your heart, your mind, your energy towards, because it's gratifying all by itself. So let me know if you have anything like that. Soul Seeker says, this is an organic thing that happens when you do things just to see the joy in their face. Absolutely. Yes, you get it. I want to I want to say that again, because she pretty much, articulated the whole essence of what labor of love means, right? So she said, this is an organic thing that happens where you do things just to see the joy on their face. Right. It's like, where is that now? Right. Where is that? Some people have given up on love because of experience and being taken advantage of. Yeah. We talk about that all the time. And you came in afterwards, but one of the first questions that I put out at the top of the show was that if God gave you the opportunity to either say you can pass through life, you can succeed, whatever that looks like to you, but you learn nothing, or you can pick option number 2, which would mean that you would fail and learn something, and learn and grow. Which one would you choose? And the reason why I presented that question is to kind of create a nice little interesting way to roll out talking about that, about how people, exactly what you said, have felt like they have given love and giving themselves into a relationship where they felt like either they failed or they've been hurt, and or someone took advantage of that love. And so now, right, walls are built up, we got locks around our hearts and things like that. So I totally understand what you're saying. She said each relationship should be a new journey that you learn from, but not compare. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, well, I don't know in the compare part, because we've talked about I think you learn, but I don't think it's hard not to compare. I think you do need to compare to grow, because I think I don't think you should compare to judge in that way, like a final judgment, I should say, because you still need sound judgment. But I think it's hard for you, and maybe instead of using compare, analyze, reflect. But I think with reflecting and analyzing, you're going to compare, So I don't think it's necessarily bad to compare, because I think that's one of the ways that you learn and grow. I just think that as you compare, if you have the type of mentality that you're talking about, that, okay, I'm going to take whatever happened in this situation and learn from it and grow. And the only way I can kind of learn from that is I do have to kind of decipher where I was, what I was thinking about, what were the steps, that kind of brought me into being in this space or in this relationship with this person. Hey, lovely Bazrita. Hi, Farah. How are you, love? Love, thank you for coming in. She said, when you compare, you find yourself holding on what could have been. Sometimes it depends, and we've talked about this at length here on this podcast. I say that, and let's take it out of the context of someone who might be comparing because they had a bad, where they feel like they lost out on that experience of love. But even in let's say a healthy functioning relationship, if you compare in that relationship to learn your position in the relationship and how that person serves differently from you, and how you can sometimes glean from the things that they are strong in, that's a good comparison, right? So comparison doesn't have to be like this umbrella of a bad thing. Another example I can give to you in that way of what I'm saying is that I'm sure you've heard many different people talk about, needing a relationship, and definitely in today's culture, oh my gosh, it is the flag that's being waved right now, is whereas like we're in a space and time where we want to be with the person, but we don't have to need to be with them, right? And oftentimes when they say that, when you hear someone saying that, they are looking at it from like one perspective, that a need is only created when you've been damaged and gone through trauma, when no needs came about way before that. There are certain essential needs that we have in life that aren't going away. And so we want to know what those are so that we can meet them, and then also be able to meet them in different ways as our needs, not evolve, because they don't really change, but yeah, they can grow in the way of how we meet them. So that's what I mean. Like if we just put the umbrella that comparison is a bad thing, then we will miss out on the opportunities where, if we are comparing, and we can use that as a resourceful tool for us to grow. But I completely agree that no, you shouldn't compare to lock yourself in, to maybe hope to that you could have seen what could have been, or comparing the person who you're dealing with now to the next person, in that way. I think you'll definitely get stuck. But I do think that as you move in life, comparison can be a very good tool, as long as you have the understanding that even as you compare or you reflect or you analyze what someone is doing or how they're flowing in something that you might feel like is a healthy thing or a good thing or a thing that you admire, inspire, that whenever God does his work with you, he doesn't make duplicates. So it's going to filter through you differently. And as long as you have, excuse me, that type of understanding, then it'll be harder to fall down the slippery slope of comparing to your demise, because you can never be, you can't put yourself in the foot of someone else's shoes. I don't care how similar you are, because God has created you with your own unique soul, and how he's going to filter through you is going to be different.